And here we go again, back for another episode of the Big Gay Overalls podcast. It's been a hot minute. I don't know where time got to. I was going to record last week, and then all of a sudden I got to this week, and then I got to the end of the week. I'm like, now I'm starting another week. So hectic. The last episode we did was episode 9 with the amazing Gillian Abbey. Back to just me flying solo today, but we have hit double digits, episode number 10. And they said we'd never make it, but here we are. Today, something that I've probably even been procrastinating, I guess, recording today, this episode, because I've just been thinking through the topic of acceptance. And it came up, I was talking to my therapist 2 weeks ago today. That's how long it's been ruminating in my brain. And, stuff that's going on around my mother's dementia and Alzheimer's, and, just how we're going to navigate that going forward. But also, we talked through the fact that overlaid on that is the complexity of our relationship, and all the shit that's gone down over the years. It has makes it hard for me to be patient and empathetic and compassionate and all those sort of things. And we just have a relationship where it's a bit of a battle. And we talk through having acceptance for the situation that is, because it is what it is, but also around acceptance that, I'll never have the relationship that part of me has always wanted, that little me always wanted, and that probably part of me still wants, but that's not going to happen. And, working around, how do you find that acceptance? And then I started digging into, acceptance of myself in general, as in, my life now, and my goals and aspirations, and just who I am now, which is very different to, who I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20, 30, 40, 49 years ago. And acceptance is really hard. And I think even in the queer space, like, if you can find acceptance, like true acceptance for who you are and where you're at and your journey, then it becomes very easy to then not take on other people's stuff that they tend to, their perceptions, their judgments, um, their what you think they're thinking, which more often than not, they're not actually thinking. And you can kind of let a lot of that stuff go. And whilst I thought that I was good with, who I am now, and that I am living authentically and living, my best life essentially for the first time ever, the more I sat and thought about acceptance, the more I thought, well, maybe I don't even fully accept myself in this identity. And it's not like you can just go down to Kmart and pick up a box of acceptance, or take a tablet and everything's all good. Like, that's not how this shit works. And talking through some of the stuff with my therapist, she's like, well, you've got to sit with it, and whether it's journaling or thinking or a mindfulness activity, or whatever it is for you to sit in that space and process all the things that will then navigate you towards acceptance. And I was thinking on that and thinking, well, I don't even really know what does it look like? And maybe that's about the conversation I need to have with her. But, what does living with acceptance for either a particular situation, or even on a broader sense yourself or your life, really look like? And that's tricky. And particularly, for, this podcast is talking about my journey of coming out late in life. Like, it's a whole identity change. Like, we had a vision, I had a vision for what my life, I wanted it to be, or what I thought it should be, probably more accurately, and where I would be at certain milestone points in my life, and things like that. And then that all changes. And so then how do you be good with where you're at, even if it's amazing? Like, I can understand if, there's still challenges and struggles for people as part of this journey, that you're not going to sit and necessarily find acceptance and be, yeah, I'm good with where I'm at. This is exactly where I want to be. And that's not what I'm saying either. But you do find acceptance steps along the journey. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to continue the journey. You'd be like, yes, this is the messy middle. Yes, this is really rough. I'm just starting out. Yes, I don't know what I'm doing, and give yourself grace for that. So is acceptance grace? I don't know. But when you're starting out, you expect things to be a bit chaotic and a bit messy. But then when that sort of subsides, and if you are just starting out on this journey in this process, and you are um, watching or listening, it does even out. You will still have moments where you feel like it's all chaos and things are shifting and things are changing, but it does even out, and get to a point where you feel like this is okay, this is good. Um, and so for me, like, as identifying with who I am now, so, you know, very definitely know what my preferences are, and what my um um I don't even know the word I'm looking for. But what my preferences are, like, I know 100% I'm gay. 100% know that. Like, look back on my life, 100% know that with hindsight. Um, I love the life that I have now, and I could not be happier in the life that I have now. But there's still that element of, like, and I don't know whether this does come under acceptance or not, um, about, like, well, do I deserve the life that I have now? And what did I have to do to get this life? And does that make me deserving of it or not? Um, I've been incredibly blessed and incredibly lucky to wind up with an amazing wife in Sharon. And, like, the journey that we've been on together has, you know, just filled me with so much joy. And, no other experiences in life can compare to this. And it's amazing. Um, so I haven't had some of the struggles that some people did, but or do. But I guess in hindsight, I've had those, but in private, and, in the closet, so to speak. Um, and had to go through a lot of those things alone, like, over the years. So, you know, but then you think, well, if I'd come to this realization earlier in life, would I have not caused people as much stress? But then I don't know. I don't know, you know, how other people perceive what I've done, what I'm doing, where I'm going. Like, that's really none of my business, because I can't control that. All I can control is what I do, and I need to be a good human to make that um if I'm a good human and I'm a good person and my intentions good, then is it that's okay. I haven't done anything wrong. But I still have this nagging thing that pops up every so often about, you know, what like what is it meant to be? Like, what is my I feel like right now, in, like, starting the overalls project, this podcast, and connecting with so many people, like, that feels very purposeful to me. Like, for the first time in a really long time, I'm, like, living with purpose and intention. Like, whilst it wasn't my intention to create something, it was my intention to tell my story. I'm still quite intentional about being honest and authentic with my story, and the struggles along the way, versus creating something to sell, if that makes sense. So, I feel very purposeful in sharing my story, because I know that people get something out of it. It helps people, and we're all trying to navigate this, like, crazy second chapter, or second half of our lives, in a whole new frame than where we started. So, I guess, to circle back to acceptance is, you know, is acceptance, um, being good with who you are and where you're at. And I don't mean just settling, because if you're in an environment that's not great, or you're in a situation you don't love, or, that sort of stuff, then you don't want to just settle and be stuck there. And we don't want to get stuck in something that's not great for us either. So I don't think I mean acceptance in the term of settling and just being okay with enough. Acceptance means that I embrace all of who I this acceptance means to me, and I'm by no means clearly an expert. That I'm accepting all of me, like the good bits, the bits that I want to improve, the in between bits, and understand that that's what makes me me. And people will either love me or they won't, and that's okay. But I also accept and understand that I don't need everybody to love me. And not everybody is going to love me the way that I think that I should be loved. And that's okay as well, because I can then create boundaries around that and set expectations. And so that means I can still have somebody in my life, but in a way that works for me and is healthy for me. And I don't have to engage in or accept things that don't make me happy, don't bring me joy, don't fill my cup. Um, and also, then I have no expectations. So I can't be disappointed in that person that they didn't give me what I feel like I needed or wanted or deserved to get. And I ultimately can't control the narratives that other people filter their own stories through, the same as they can't control mine. So I guess on the quest for acceptance is, you know, if I talk about my mother's stuff, is like, we're well beyond ever having that relationship that I would have wanted as a child and deserved and needed. And, she made her choices for her path that she went on. And maybe she's resentful of, the path that my life has taken, that I've had way more freedoms afforded to me or earned than, she had in her life. And that's situational. That's, she did the best she could in the situation she was in at the time. Like, she kicked my father out when I was about 6. He was very abusive. It was not a good environment, and he'd left her in a heap of debt and all this sort of stuff. He was not a good human. So that was, for all intents and purposes, the right thing to do to protect us kids and herself, because at some point something bad would have happened, I believe. But and then that led to a series of events, is that, she had to work incredibly hard to keep a roof over her head, to keep food on the table, single mother, 80s, pension wasn't much, like 3 kids, need clothing, school, the whole shebang. So that meant, whatever she had envisaged for her life was not going to be able to come to fruition for whatever her plans were, whatever her dreams were. And I mean, she made choices, and you can look back and go, yeah, they were the right choices, but still somewhere inside she may feel something. And I'm entirely 100% speaking for her at this point. She may feel some resentments, about, people who now apparently have an easier life, or, I can pick and choose my projects now, and I can do the things that I enjoy doing, rather than, just following the path, sitting in a little cubicle 9 to 5, which would truly, truly kill my soul these days. So, for me, then she's filtering all of this stuff through that potential narrative, rightly or wrongly, or it may be the case, it may not. I don't know. I'm guessing. And so we can't get past that necessarily. She doesn't have the capacity now where we could talk about that and get past that. So I need to set for myself the expectation, the acceptance of what is, that my life has panned out the way that it has through my choices. Her life panned out the way that it has through her choices. And I can accept my choices, because ultimately everything I've done, whether it be good, bad, indifferent, something I'm proud of, something I've not, has got me to this point right here, right in this very second. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. And it's equipped me to be able to do some of the work that I do now. And some of my biggest perceived failures, have equipped me with incredible knowledge and experience to be able to help others. So I can't, I don't want to take that away. So I'm not looking through at my life through a resentful lens. So I need to accept that this is where our relationship is at and make the best of it that we can in whatever time is remaining. And since Sharon has stepped in and is doing some stuff with mum, like taking her shopping and that, like she really enjoys those interactions. Because Sharon, if you haven't watched the episode, go watch the episode. She is quite fun, and she can say things that other people can't and just get away with it, and it's fine. And mum has lightened up quite a lot, and she's even actually improved her tone in referring to me, which is great. And you know what? That's what it's going to be. And then I go, okay, well, this is a relationship now, and I still have boundaries around what I'll engage on, and I have no expectations either. So then that way, I can't be disappointed or be frustrated or any of those things. I just take each day as it comes, however she presents on that day, and I'm not filtering it through any of the old stuff. So I guess that is acceptance on that sort of in that situation, which will make it easier to go forward, where I'm not just feeling the frustration and the butting heads and not understanding why she's not understanding and why she's resisting and all this sort of stuff. Like I can just go with it each day, and if everyone's having fun in that moment, we're having fun. And there's nothing more significant to it than that. She's never going to be the person that says, oh, I'm so proud of who you've become, or all the rest of it. It's just that's just not going to happen. And I'm actually okay with that, because I don't need that, because I'm getting my needs met in so many other avenues in life. Which, then when I talk about it, true acceptance of who I am, like I am very well aware that I am not perfect. Spoiler alert. And I'm not, you know, I have not done things in life that I'm incredibly proud of. But as I just said, and it's not to excuse them, but all of those things, good, bad, indifferent, have brought me to the point where I am now, where I can have done enough work and be evolved enough to understand that that is my superpower. My story or my struggle is my superpower, and my mess is my message. Um, because I know what it's like to sit there in the dark and not know what to do and have no one you can speak to about it, or feel like you're the only one. And the more I've dug into this journey, is I'm realizing that far from the only one, and certainly not Robinson Crusoe in the way that I have felt things and processed things and done things. So, that's been powerful as well. And that's what's encouraged me to continue to keep sharing and understanding that I belong in this space and that I have a place in the community. And I don't mean by, being some sort of queer icon. That's not what I'm about. But that I belong in the community, and shaking off that imposter syndrome to a degree, and going, well, someone's going to come and call me out and go, yeah, but you're not a real lesbian, or you're not a real gay, and you're not this and you're not that. Like, that doesn't matter. Like, it's how I see me. And I am very much deserve to belong to the community and be able to live free and authentically, and talking about having peace. So maybe that's acceptance of myself, is this peace that I've found, particularly the last 12 months that we've moved to the home that we have, and that I just feel calmer, more settled. And I just, there's no chaos around us. And we were just talking the other day about how we don't have any drama, like in our life directly, really. Like, whereas I feel like my life had a lot of drama before. It was always, one thing was happening or another thing was happening. Like, it was always drama. There were things. Um, So I feel like we don't have that. We have peace. And if something doesn't give us peace or make us um, feel good, then we just don't engage in it. We just don't do it. We're like, didn't want to do that. Not doing that again. Or that was, whatever. So maybe acceptance is going, not having expectations around me. You know, people will say, "Oh, I invested in the hustle and grind lifestyle for a long time. Like you had to work hard to be worthwhile. You had to work harder. The harder you work, the better human you were." And I've stepped off that train. Like I pick and choose my projects. I pick and choose what to work on things now that give me joy and not just, financially driven. It's about, you know, um, yes, we need to pay the bills, but is the juice going to be worth the squeeze? Because sometimes if I take on I've tripped up on this numerous times. If I take on a project for the wrong reasons, it's usually a project that's going to kick my ass and make me wish that I hadn't done it. Um, but when I do projects for the right reasons and I do things and all the other results, the financial remuneration, like the good karma, the good feelings, that all just flows and I'm creative and I love doing it. So, you know, having that peace and understanding that and accepting this is a perfectly fine way to live life, earn an income and contribute to society. I'm not lazy, which is a narrative that I've had for a long time is that, well, I must be lazy because that's something that was fed to me constantly as a kid when I was sitting down reading or whatever, writing, whatever stuff. It's like you should be doing something like working. Um, and you just lazy or if I was resting. And it took me a long time to even, well, I think it was when I hit like my first case of burnout to even be okay with having a nap in the middle of the day. Like it's okay to rest. So I think for me, in just because I hadn't really formulated much in my head prior to jumping on and hitting record, but in talking through this, it's that acceptance is it's okay to be where you're at. It's okay to aspire to more. It's okay to want other things, but it's okay to be where you're at and who you are. If you know that that aligns with your values. And we've got really strong values here about, connection and family and um, honesty and being vulnerable. And, you know, our values are not around things or um, finances. It's around, connections and relationships and being authentic. So if the way I'm living aligns with my values that I have probably clearly defined as my own for the first time in, nearly 50 years versus what you should aspire to, then there's nothing wrong with that and it's okay. Like acceptance is it's okay. I'm okay as long as, Sharon and I are having a great life and that we're doing well for our, within ourselves as humans and we're happy in our relationship, then everything's okay. Like that's a beautiful place to sit and quite powerful when you can reach that. But I do know that acceptance of self is huge in the queer community. And we hear other people's stories and narratives and um, it can be really hard to, when you've had bad experiences and people are shutting you down, then it does make it hard for you to feel like that you don't belong or you don't fit or you shouldn't be here or you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't stick your head out of the gopher hole. But before we can get that acceptance from others, we really need to get that from ourselves and understand that that's their narrative and they're filtering that through their own experiences and stories, which we can't control. And I don't know, most of the time we don't know. We actually don't know what their story is. We don't know what's gone behind it. So all we can control is ourselves. And that's something I've been working really hard on lately is, some different situations we've had is like, did I do anything to contribute to that situation or, hand on heart, have I just been a good human and it's their stories and insecurities which are contributing to that situation? And if I can come to an answer on that, an honest answer myself, then I can accept that situation as what it is, because I can't control it. I can't control their stories, their narratives. I can't control their lived experience. That, they're currently living it. And if they're choosing to live in denial about things, or live in resentment or scarcity, then that's okay. That's their choice of their path. And they're going to have to work through that at some point in their own life, when everything comes home to roost. And we've all had to do that. So I can't, live or die by other people's opinions and perceptions. The only ones that matter are those who matter to me. And really, it only comes down to Sharon. That's it. And, if we're all good, then I'm all good. Like, this is, the best life that I can be living right now. And speaking about the best life, and speaking about Sharon, as a little digression, check out the super cute little rainbow neon light she scored me from Kmart. It's very cute, good for the backdrop. I did put on my backlights, but they didn't make it look very rainbowy, so I just left that one on. But yeah, I think, if we head, towards this journey of acceptance, I think that we've got to give ourselves grace for our past mistakes. We've got to give ourselves grace for, and this is not me giving advice, I'm just talking to myself really. Give ourselves grace for past experiences. And, I'm a firm believer that we do the best we can with what we have and what we know at the time. And when we know better, we do better. And that's all we can do. So I'm not sure if this made sense. It was a bit of a ramble on acceptance and some stuff that I'm working through in my brain. But firstly, thank you to everyone who has reached out, everyone who's given feedback, everyone who has subscribed and listened. I truly appreciate it. It does mean the world to me, and I'm glad that my story can resonate with you and help you a little. If you want to connect with us, we've got a wonderful group hanging out over at the Embracing My Big Gay Overalls community over on School. Sharon and I just did a Google Meet live thing in there on communication. I think it was communication the other couple of weeks ago. So we try and do that every couple of weeks. So if you want to connect with this, there is a link to the show notes. Otherwise, please feel free to leave me a review. Apparently those things matter. And a subscribe on your favorite platform. I would really appreciate it. And share the podcast with someone who you think could benefit from going through this journey. The more I talk to people and the more people I come across, like, I'm just blown away with the number of people who are in, the situation that I was, or they're getting in the situation, or, the more I read. And we need more voices in the community to talk about this stuff. We need to make it okay. We need to take away some of the shrouded, shame and questioning about, value and worth around it. Like, we're all doing this thing the best way we know we can, and we just got to be kind to ourselves and be kind to each other. All right, guys, thanks for listening, watching, and I'll see you on the next one. I promise it won't be that long between episodes.